know if those in the sustainability, those in the room can hear us. I'm not sure. I'll have to confirm. Lizeth, are you there? Let's see. Oh. I'm gonna say something, Lizeth. See if you can hear us.
Can you hear us? What's up, bro? Good.
I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. We can hear you.
A little bit.
Banter and conversation. So.
Okay. Good. All right, we're at time, but are we at quorum? Who else is in the room?
So Laura, we just have Ethan in here with us and Tammy. So there's
just the four of us.
Three here. Oh,
Michael.
So
Okay. We got five.
Four board members.
4 members.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's give it maybe 5-10 minutes and let others join. And then we'll see if we can hold the meeting or not tonight.
Okay, so you can still, Laura, you can still hold the meeting if you want, but you just can't
We
vote.
don't have any voting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, then let's go ahead because I know that we have a presentation this evening, so we might as well let him present but hopefully we can get a few more people
That's good.
in online or whatnot before.
Yeah.
Let's wait maybe 2 or 3 minutes and we'll see if we get a couple more people on.
Okay, Laura, Kent is not in here, who's supposed to be the presenter, and I also don't have the presentation.
You also what?
I don't have the presentation. It wasn't sent to me.
Okay. He might be bringing it with him. I'm not sure.
Okay.
At the very least, we can do announcements, and then if we have to push it to next month, then we do. But hopefully not.
Okie dokie.
There was a big accident on 54 heading west, so I assume people might have got caught in that. Cause I wanted to get a head around it, but.
Yeah, like this is.
Sounds good. We'll give everyone a couple of minutes. I'll officially start at 6:20. And apologies for not physically being there. I tested positive for COVID today, so I figured better to stay away.
And we appreciate that.
Yeah. There's Lauren. Good. Hey, Lauren, we are gonna start in about 3 minutes. I'm giving a few more of the board members a couple minutes to get here. Apparently there was a large accident that, could be a cause for some delay of folks getting there physically.
Okay, sounds good.
So we'll start at 6:20.
Well, I don't.
I'm not. Well, I guess I
Yeah,
could
you're
sign
not.
it. I do
You
see,
need
I
to
do
sign
get a
in, you're
line.
part of the participation, right there is your name.
Yeah. I didn't know I'd be on the sheet already.
Oh,
Yeah, I printed the sheet. Like,
Oh, okay,
yeah,
so
I
was gonna
voted
say-
for
never
the sheet.
mind. I'll say I have two.
okay, I'll take it back to the table now that I've done my anal thing.
Thanks, Randy.
Hi, Jane. Hey. You could bring your chair and sit back here. We're just shaking things up today. Oh, yeah. So there's Deb. I'm Lori.
Hi, Miss Lori. Good to see you.
Is Laura not here today? No.
I am home with COVID, so I am doing this from here.
How many times have you had COVID?
Enough that I've lost count.
Oh,
I think
God.
it's because I'm out so much in the world that I tend to pick it up apparently.
That's awful.
Yeah, it's all right.
How many do we need to have?
7, but I don't think you guys are voting on anything today.
Okay.
So we have 6.
Well, that's all right if we don't have to vote on anything. But you never know.
So Elizabeth, how many do we have now in the room? Board members?
There's 6 of you guys total. There's 3 here and then 3 online, so 6 of you guys.
Okay. So we are right at quorum?
No, quorum would be 7.
7, okay. One more.
He usually shows up late, doesn't he?
That's true. That's true.
Well, I'll go ahead and we'll call to order since we're not voting tonight on anything. So I'll call this meeting to order. Elizabeth, I'm gonna hand it right over to you. You have some announcements to make.
Sorry, I was pulling up some documents here.
There it is.
There you
There it
go.
is.
Okay,
There's quorum, perfect.
Help yourself, Mike.
So to start off, I want to tell you guys about a tree planting initiative and education plan that I am planning. So as you guys know, my position is funded with air quality grant funds. So this does leave me a little bit of money to do projects with, which is where the long hair rebate funding comes from. And this year, as I'm planning for what to budget or what to use the remaining of my budget for, I decided, since you guys are so passionate about trees, I thought that would be a good thing to try and use some of the funds for. So I did get approval from KDHU, who's the one who kind of tells me what I can and can't use my funds for. So I'm working on a plan with parks and then with also trying to collaborate with local organizations as well to plant about $5,000 worth of trees in the coming year. So hopefully we'll get them ordered here soon. They'll come in the spring. We hope to in the summer have them in gravel and then give them away in October. It'd be awesome if you guys would be able to help with the disbursement. I also, when we're dispersing those trees, I also want to include like a brochure for education on how to water them and how to take care of those trees. And that's it. If you guys have any questions on that.
That's fantastic.
Julio, so next item, the ECBG update. So we're trucking along with the ECBG grant. I did want to give you guys a heads up that the deadline was pushed back to April for the due date. It's not really going to change anything on our end. We'll probably just won't take it since it gives us a little bit more time to get our documents together. We probably won't take it to council until first. I know previously we talked about December 12th or 13th council date. It'll probably be in January just to give us a little bit more time to work on the activity files and things. But we still plan to do it and submit it early. We probably won't wait until April. But just a heads up that you won't hear an update from us in December.
So like the second week in January?
Yes, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, just to give us a little bit more time, but we don't plan to change anything. The only thing is we do think the best way to allocate the funds to SCED would be to have them be a sub-grantee, which basically means we just put into writing how you guys wanted the money spent. We just kind of send them the money and they do the reporting for that. So, but either way,
Okay.
your wishes will be in writing still,
Yeah.
so they'll still use it for weatherization and weatherization kits like you guys
That'd probably
asked.
be easiest.
Yes, it'll be easier. So that's the only thing that's changing is they're gonna be a sub-grantee.
Elizabeth, I have a question about that. So in terms of fund disbursement, since they're pushing back does it really matter for when the money comes? They're giving more people time to bring in the application, but they would still provide the money on a kind of a rolling basis, or how does that work?
Yes, that is my understanding, is they will still accept applications early and go through them on a rolling basis, which means funds will be allocated or dispersed based on when your application was sent in and when it was processed.
Okay, cool. So it doesn't, we won't have a delay in funding, in other words.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Good. Perfect.
Okay, and then last little thing, so as we talked about in previous meetings, we are coordinating with WSU CEI to get you guys to do the climate action plan. So as part of that, the next December meeting will be a kind of a quick meeting, and then we're gonna jump right into a retreat with CEI. And this will be a meeting from 4 to 7, if I remember correctly, so it is.
4:30 to 7:30 is what I wrote down at the meeting.
Okay, I think you're right. I think it's 4:30 to 7:30, so it's gonna be a longer version of our meeting. We do ask if you guys can to be here in person. I think that's gonna be the best case scenario for us. And I'm gonna read you a blurb that CEI sent me, kind of so you get more information about what this is. So the goal of this retreat is for the board to dedicate time creating a shared vision for their work while understanding and respecting individual perspectives and priorities. We'll spend time on the mission and vision for this board, thinking about the culture the board wants to create and how they want to work together and their role within the city. So, and I will send you guys kind of, once I get more information, I'll pass it along from CEI, but just a heads up to please try and block that time on your calendar and please try to be here in person.
What date is it again?
It's December 15th from
So it's
4:30.
a Friday?
No, it's the 13th.
Okay, 13th, it's the
13th.
Wednesday, so
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
would have been a regular meeting, I apologize.
Good.
And it's gonna be in this same room, so we don't want to change anything about that.
Be fun to go do like some retreat place, you know? There's so many cool places you can go. Oh, well, I don't have any money.
Any questions about that?
Okay.
Lastly, I do want to introduce Ethan. He's our new sustainability coordinator. So he's the one who just has taken over that position that you guys recommended. So he is here today. Ethan, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my name's Ethan Kershaw. I just moved to Wichita to take this position. I'm from the Kansas City area
Gonna
originally.
save the world.
Yeah, one city at a time. And I went to school at Truman State University in Missouri, and I studied environmental policy and economics there. So this kind of position is exactly what I'm looking for and kind of work I want to be doing. And I've got some experience working in local government before. I've helped create a greenhouse gas emissions inventory for a different city in Missouri. So I'm hoping to do the same thing here and keep doing good work in Wichita.
So you helped the city of Missouri define their carbon footprint?
Yeah, it was just for government operations at that time, but
But
yeah,
we could, you know how to do that for here in Wichita?
yeah, we're actually using some of the same software I used then.
Thank you.
Cool.
Ethan, welcome. We're excited to have you.
Thank you.
Yes, we hope you can come to our meetings. We'd love to see you. That way we can tell you what we're looking for, and you can tell us what you're working on, and we can all keep each other updated. Would love that if you could.
How
come.
we can support you too, Ethan. I mean, I think that's a
Uh-huh.
big piece too, that we want to make sure that, you know, as a board, we're supporting your work.
Definitely, yeah. I'll be sure to stay in contact with you guys.
Again, welcome. We're excited to have you.
And I think that's all I have on my side, Laura.
Okay. Sounds good. So the next is the approval of minutes from last month. Once again, has everyone had a chance to review them, and are there any edits?
Didn't notice anything.
Okay. Then can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Laura, this is Tammy. I will move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Sounds good. And a second?
You have a second.
Okay, sounds good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay, next on our agenda tonight is the presentation. Has he arrived?
Yes,
Yes.
Kent is here. Do you have the presentation?
Kent's here, great, sounds good. Do you need a minute to kind of set up the presentation?
Yes.
Hand me those back. And everybody around the room to be able to
Okay.
have one. Yeah, as long as you don't hit the microphone.
I stole one.
Perfect, that's what I want. Excellent. I've got you here. They are paper pens with a steel insert.
I love sustainability.
Got a few presentations there.
I've been busy. I was at Wichita State University Monday night. Spoke on computational sustainability.
Thanks for all you do, Ken.
Ken,
Which
which,
one is it? Is it SIP? Because it looks like there's 3 of them.
It would be the one near this,
This
three
one's the
would be
most
the newest.
recent.
recent, yeah, most recent, the 27th, I think.
but there's 2 of them dated 27th.
And the one that's the last.
This one?
Is that it?
Yep, that'll work.
Alright, let me share the screen real quick.
Well, thank you for allowing me to appear. Am I in the right position for?
Yes, can you
cameras
guys
and so
hear him
forth?
online?
Actually, if you want to be in the camera, you should be over here, maybe. I don't know. I mean, you see how the camera's over there.
All right. Well, this is the presentation of what we call modernization of the electric grid. It is occurring at a very high pace, very rapid pace in other cities. And if you understand what a smarter grid is, local point of use generation. It's generated near where it's going to be used, not some far away place. Circular economy that's kept within the communities where it's being generated. And the Justice 40, you're all familiar with the Justice 40 provision of the IRA.
Yeah.
No. That provides for 40% of these monies that's allocated in the IRA, Inflation Reduction Act, goes to communities are traditionally underserved communities, historically underserved. Electric vehicles, power walls, low starting amp, heat pumps. You don't understand what that is, a heat pump versus a compressor. Heat pumps are DC, very, very low starting speeds. We replaced ours some years ago. We took out a 60 amp breaker and replaced it with a 25 amp breaker, and it doesn't even use near that.
Wow.
With heat pumps. That's efficiency. Smart appliances, if you don't already have on an electric hot water tank a timer that shuts it off during time of use or high use capacity times. And it allows deferred capacity. In other words, a smart grid will say, you over here can go offline or low usage. And that will defer that capacity, but we want to buy that from you. And that is going on now. Utilities pay the customers money to go and not use electricity at the highest time of use. This goes for commercial, this goes for residential and rural as well. It also provides for no new large transmission lines that have these long distances with losses that you can incur on these traveling byways with these transmission. A lot of copper alloys are required, a lot of fights with farmland, cropland, going across my property, whatever. And it's decentralized. That is key right there. So you can see in the picture, it's kind of blotted out. There is a heat pump down there, lower right-hand corner. On the screen. Oh, okay, thanks. And to the left is a vehicle charger that is not just a charger, but it also feeds back to the grid, to the home, to the load, to the school, to the whatever you want to do, to the X, V2X, V2H, V2L. Next slide, please. And here's the growing potential of virtual power plants. Residential in gigawatts, 32%. Demand flexibility in buildings, commercial, 14.9 gigawatts. You know, a gigawatt is, that's 1,000 megawatts. And then there's terawatts that goes to a million gigawatts. So it gives you an idea of how much power this country uses. Electric vehicles, 17.3 gigawatts, and large scale battery storage. August 10th, Texas, they had to go on battery power. That saved them. They were so stressed on their grid that the battery storage did save them, but they still violated the frequency regulation index, FRI, which is disturbing because that is where you start having overheated neutrals, stators, compressors, even low voltage. Very bad sine waves that can damage equipment, transformers, capacitors, and so forth. Next slide, please. So here's something what we're trying to do in the communities: low cost, off-grid, standalone electrical supply. This is not just for emergencies. This would be for routine use behind the meter. It doesn't even interface on grid. These kinds of devices are now being marketed, sold in many communities. And this is where you use a small amount, small investment. Okay, price of a new living room lounge for this equipment. These are actually used solar panels and they perform just fine. Been doing so for about 3 years now. Bought them for $53 a piece. There's a glut on the market because companies trade them out for the higher wattage ones, more recent. So there's a whole lot. We get ours from Arizona. And this is standard stock racking from Wichita, locally sourced material, cinder blocks that are actually tied down to the wooden frame. And these are drilled into the frame, all put together, locally sourced material. Next slide, please. Microgrids, virtual power plants, or VPPs, and demand response markets. Modernizing the electric grid entails making its management smarter and more resilient by way of interoperability, storage, and reactive power. Next slide, please. A virtual power plant defined by the Department of Energy, a connected aggregation of distributed energy resource, or called DER technologies, offer deeper integration of renewables and demand flexibility, in which turn offers more Americans cleaner and more affordable power with minimal cost. Next slide, please. And here's what we should be seeing very soon. And I've got a little surprise announcement for y'all too on this. I'm sure you're all gonna wanna orient towards that. EV integration, residential, commercial, government, defense forces. Defense forces are already doing this, been doing it for years with the Nissan Leaf on base. The only microgrid apparently that we have in Kansas is Fort Riley. I went up there years back and they're already evolving, working on it. They have solar, they have wind, and they have battery operated vehicles. That can actually, that's the V2G. V2B, if you want, for base, that they can have a standalone electrical system. There is no reason why a metropolitan area like this can have emergency backup power for any reason, snow, ice, whatever, and at the same time pay for itself by cutting out the demand times of high usage and why we have to keep a large centralized plant running. Battery technologies and chemistries are coming more planet friendly. They're less extractive of rare earth minerals. The silicon and sodium batteries are already being manufactured elsewhere. And this is all called mobility as a service, EAAS. Next slide, please. And there it is. We've had this for years. The Nissan Leaf bidirectional charging point. The one on the left is actually where you charge the battery. The one on the right, you can also charge the battery, the drive battery in the vehicle, but it also can feed back onto the mains of a house, dwelling, a business, a manufacturing facility, and so forth. It's able to supply stored battery power from EV. And this, by the way, is what we think in AIAA, American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, how airliners are going to work, how jet engines will work on dual fuel, both battery and jet fuel. Take off with battery, with the jet fuel as a backup, climb to altitude, go to completely jet fuel in rarefied air, which you don't use that much. It's mainly takeoff and landing. By the time the aircraft is ready to land, batteries are already charged. Same scenario with takeoff. So just kind of an added thing there. So it's not by itself. Next slide, please. And here's the dashboard. If anybody have the dashboard from your power company? Nobody looks? Well, Lori does.
Yeah.
We've indoctrinated her. The dashboard, hourly, daily, monthly, yearly usage production. As you can see there where we're using power at the top, and then there's where we're producing power on a day, night basis on say solar. So what we intend to do with more batteries, and the batteries are getting a lot less expensive. Like I say, for the price of a living room set or a bedroom suite, you're going to be independent at least a few hours of the day, which you can make a deal with anybody. FERC 2222, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission 2222, allows you to trade with entities. It is a thing that I think we just don't understand here, because for some reason, power purchase agreements seem to be out of reach. But this is about the only state I know of, which it is. Next slide, please. There's a data center microgrid. Power goes down, the data centers have to keep going. What's the most power draw on a data center? Is it the servers? No, it's the HVAC. You have to keep those at a certain temperature at all times. I know that when our power went down during the last Andover tornado, I was thrilled. I immediately got into the EV, put up our sub-circuit, and first thing I got on was the internet. So my partner could calm herself down and continue watching Bridgerton or whatever it was at that time. And so you can actually maintain your communications during those kind of times. And that's pretty important. And you can also see the carports, the car canopies right there that can feed that in. HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. Next slide, please. So what is the value of resilience? What is the value of that? Having local, decentralized generation, customer generator, or prosumers, it's called. You can engage in farming underneath the bifacial solar modules. We'll be talking about that tomorrow night at the solar
Town hall.
Yeah, town hall. And the power on-farm added value processing equipment. You just don't grow grains You can also process the grain. You can clean the seeds, bag them because you have the power to do that now. And take it to market with that electric vehicle. The Ford Lightning has been out for some time now. And they have the V2 Jeep, by the way. That's already stood up with Ford Motor Company. Wind power turbines, instrumental in frequency regulation. I was disappointed when all of these counties said no to wind. Because what does wind do that solar doesn't?
Goes at night.
It goes at night.
Kills birds.
And it has yes, inertial rotating blades maintain that frequency. You can have all the solar you want, but if clouds come over intermittently, then you have voltage exchanges, you have voltage fluctuations. But the wind tends to be pretty steady on that inertial motion of those blades. Next slide, please. So here's some of the deployable, portable, transportable solar panels that we'd like to see more and more of in the community, in communities that need it. This summer, does anybody have a handle on how many people went without power? Especially during the hot times. They couldn't even run a fan, they had no lights. Well, this would bring that. This would bring those to fruition. And it's very, very low cost. Next slide, please. Water well pump power supply in the rural areas. You don't need to run a power line to that. You need water, it's always going to be there, at least if you have the right battery solar charger mix. Next slide, please. And maintain connectivity. This is from Airplace and the Butler Rural Electric erected the antenna for internet. This is going into many, many rural areas now. This is another federal program that you can maintain your communications. We've had power down for about a week back in 2005 with the ice storm. We would expect that to occur sometime again. Ice falls on trees, gathers it, makes and falls on the lines. These are wind and snow load compliant. They're compliant. They're ballasted frames. We have the knowledge to calculate the loads on these solar panels, wind and snow loads, and they're all weighted down. They could go on roofs too, but I like ground mounts. Low cost deployment, portable assembles and disassembles in less than 1 hour. Next slide, please. And there we are. This young lady, Carla Jackson Patrick, this was the Juneteenth parade. We displayed this off, and it was quite a day. A lot of people were quite thrilled and really want to see these deployed more. And by the way, this all fit in one vehicle. Broke down until, okay, it was a Buick Roadmaster station wagon. But it all fit right in there. And all of the materials you see, including Carla, all fit and myself into that.
We ran a fan, we had my computer hooked up, we had a fan and a light and speakers that were all run on that.
Yeah.
Just as a demonstration.
That's what we would like to project here, that you do not need to go without power. Next slide, please. This is a picture of a transfer switch. You have a gas generator, solar generator, wind generator, and you want to connect, or your vehicle, connect to the mains, your switch box, the breaker box in your home. This is what you need to have. And this way you can select which circuits you want to have come online with the emergency. This one sells for about, they're a little bit pricey, $400, but it's the larger one. Next slide, please. And here, this was on Cleveland Street. This fellow lives out of his modal trailer home, I guess camper, and he disassembles these when he wants to move around. Again, pretty easy to do, fairly easy. So he can go and have his own power at all times. And he's moved these around too. He travels around a little bit. So next slide. Yeah, sheds, backyard sheds. See the rain barrel there, it's all nice and tidy. Next slide. Here's an example of a BMW i3, I think it is, in a carport, ordinary carport that can be built in these regions to accommodate backup power and also feed back to the grid at any time that it's called for. Next slide. Here it is. Surprise! It's out. The bidirectional Emporia vehicle charger for residents. It's made in Littleton, Colorado, and they're really going to be introducing them early 2024, but they're out now. Price is ranging from $1,500 to $2,000. Payback time, depending on how you use it, and the programs that are allowed in your community that we're trying to open up. These markets, demand response markets, are going to be able to pay for themselves, return on investment, very short period of time. In-phase also is another one. Delta is another one, and the Quasar wall box that's been out for some time. So it has competition, but this is the one that I like to be close to home, Littleton, Colorado, where it is. So yeah, check it out if you're at all interested in those kinds of things. It gives you a more of incentive to buy certain vehicles that are already equipped with the bidirectional charging capabilities. Next slide. And there's the Nissan Leaf, little red bomb that we have. If you check out my Facebook page, I'm in a racing suit, helmet. I raced this car, and it set the national record during National Driver Electric. I have to gloat about this. I didn't intend to.
I know.
The National Electric Dragster Association listed 0.2 of a second faster than what I did. I backed off at 91 miles an hour at night, and I was giving a lecture at the same time on my phone. Club they were quite surprised to see that. I couldn't show them too much because the lights were so blurry going up the track. I raced a Chevrolet Bolt, and it beat me resoundingly, but still, that was the record setter. Next slide. So when you connect 4 batteries connected in series, produce 48 volts, lithium ion phosphate, absorbed glass mat, sealed lead acid, flooded lead acid. I prefer lithium iron phosphate. It is just such a good performer at all times. And I try to keep them warm. The ones I have in the house, they don't outgas, so I can put them right behind a heater where they can keep some heat on them at all times. But next slide. This is what you need between the generator and the batteries. It's a charge controller that will not charge your batteries or over voltage them. It's a basic thing. This was the 60 amp one. I got the big one because I could use it on larger ampere batteries in the future. And this was $75. Next slide. And here's what we went to the MABCD, Metropolitan Area Planning or Building and Construction Department. This is what the director told us we had to have. We generate a signal from generators. We have to have an inlet box into the dwelling. This was $30. That mounted quite a way. It goes into the transfer switch and then into your mains if you wanted to go directly into your circuits or the bypasses. You can't lead the cord through a window or a door, but you should have a proper box, and they're quite inexpensive. Next slide. Yeah, Wichita Transit. In some parts of the community where you have convergence of traffic, a lot of gases, a lot of emissions, we should declare a low emission zone at any time. These are the things that some communities are, the moms in the Moms Clean Air Force, Kansas City, Kansas Clean Air now are wanting to see is whoever gets a grant or transitions to either hybrid or electric vehicles, service vehicles, should comply with the Wichita Transit or the low emission zone at any time. I just put Wichita Transit up there because they've done so well in getting the electrification of public transit. And they should be proud of that accomplishment. And Wichita State University is now utilizing those resoundingly. Electric school buses should be given priority to those areas with the highest emergency room visits for asthma, allergy, heart disease, and the like. Service trucks, trash trucks can actually go into communities and pick up and do everything they need to in those areas on electric, and then leave. They have distances to travel. They can convert back to diesel, like the series hybrid, the Volt does this, and a few other vehicles. Given that they can't make the distance on that, or they can keep continuing the runs on that because they'll charge the batteries on the more long distances. And there's the AccuSense battery charger. I use that on my electric tractor that I cut and mow with, but also do a lot of different work, haul rock with it, and so forth. So those are on the market as well. Cub Cadet, Greenworks, another, and then proper ag tractors are being utilized. Why would you market something like that? Well, it has an advantage in that your product didn't go into making emissions and contribute to greenhouse gases. And a lot of companies, and by the way, we were on the November 6th Special Committee on Energy and Utilities. It was a Kansas Energy Plan Day. And they had an overview of the Iowa Energy Plan. Chaz Allen, Executive Director of the Iowa Utility Association. And he said emphatically, John Deere, Microsoft, all the big companies in his state will stay there as long as they're going for a clean energy plan. You don't have that, they're going to leave. You don't have that, they're going to have bad publicity. And Walmart, Target, Starbucks, whomever you want to name, have energy plans for clean energy with their marketing.
But Kansas does not. So.
I'll get to that. Yeah. There was a lot of good speakers in that, but I was really impressed by Iowa because when I was the judge for the papers presented at the 51st North American Power Symposium, a professor from Ames, Iowa asked me to come to speak there. Says, you can come to speak, but don't mention climate. And that was in 2019. And it's good to see, at least I hope, Iowa has some sort of an enlightenment here in that you want to do business in this state, yes, we're gonna have a clean energy plan. We're gonna cut greenhouse gases. We're going to be a forefront in this effort. Next slide, please. Oh, this is the interrupter pulse closer fault interrupter. I thought I had something on one of our state representatives. I was showing them Pika at Wealth Day, water, environment, air, land, transportation, health, Wealth Day. And I said, hey, I bet you don't know what this is. And he said, yeah, that's a fault interrupter for microgrids that you can have and separate yourself from the rest of the grid when the general grid is down. I was really surprised hearing that. So they apparently had discussions on this. It's called a recloser, and they're not that expensive, not as much as they've been some of the testimonials they've been hearing. So you can isolate certain areas in catastrophic losses, and you can operate as a community, as a aggregation of a power system. Next slide. Women at work, putting up solar panels. This is something that a lot of women love to do. See, they're all out there with harnesses, working together. These things go up in a day, generally speaking. You get those rails, everything measured right, it hums right along. Next slide, please. Women at Work, yeah, it's just kind of a organization that's out there. Next one. Flaxen Solar, Grid Alternatives, Tribal Solar Accelerator Funds. The tribes have done a lot of work. They get a lot of grants in this. So these are ethnic areas that you can stimulate, create jobs. And when it's already erected, they can also go into greenhouses. They can go into, it's just phenomenal what can happen. You can actually have communities of underprivileged areas that can change overnight. Next slide. And there's just a typical carport that one can utilize as the load ratings. Some roofs are not feasible. They're too old. They're probably weak. And you don't want to have to go in and put on a new roof. It adds to the cost. But a carport can be built, and it's a car canopy for that matter in that realm. So next slide. And here's the sad news. ACEEE policy. American Council on Energy Efficient Economy rates Kansas 48? I heard 49 the other day. Actually, during the
That's funny.
Energy Kansas Special Committee on Energy 49, we slipped a little bit. Why is that? Well, we've had a little setback. It's actually
What's
a
the
big
setback?
setback.
What's it?
Evergy decided to keep the coal plant going another 3-4 years. That's what's going. The On Coal campaign downgraded it from a D to an F for emissions control. I'm sorry.
I'm assuming this map includes DC. That's why there's 51.
Yeah.
North Dakota 51. That must be DC.
Yeah.
Over in the corner 15.
Yeah, that's my take on it.
And the 48 grading is because we couldn't, for 10 years as a utility, we could get no energy efficiency programs approved through the legislation or the regulators. I mean, every state around us has some sort of energy efficiency program and rebates and incentives, and Evergy tried that literally for over 10 years, and we just,
Maybe we should keep trying.
well, we got approved March of 2024.
Yeah.
The new
Hopefully that'll
energy,
help.
right, those energy efficiency programs will be rolled out, but that's.
This ACEEE, that's the same organization that rates Wichita 99th out of the 100 largest US cities for the same energy
Energy
transition
efficiency,
things. Unfortunately.
Yeah, Yeah. So we're in the right place. We're in a good place. This is where we need to be, right here, because we need the work desperately. We really do need to stand up these communities with community choice aggregation. And work with the utilities. If the utilities want to cooperate. If you go to Transport Evolved, one of our latest YouTubes broadcasts is my power company paid me $1 per kilowatt hour for not using power at that time. And Portland utilities are not the only ones. California, Massachusetts, a number of other states are adopting this. And by the way, going back to Texas, August 10th, what was the wholesale price? Went up to $9,000 per megawatt hour. That's the ceiling, can't go any higher. If you had 1 kilowatt hour, that would be $9 to put back or dispatchable to that grid. And of course, they're on ERCOT, it's a different type of thing, but they can perhaps work that out.
How come Missouri has a store?
It says most
That's the-
improved. So maybe that'll be us.
But again, Missouri's got had
Most
energy
improved.
efficiency incentives since 2008.
So right next door, yeah.
Yeah.
We got it. So, yeah, so I've done a lot more. Next slide, please. Yeah, any questions?
Yeah, how do I get them off my carpet?
The other day, I participated in a question with Jason from Estes office
Uh-huh.
and a conversation about, look at it, Big Wires Act.
Uh-huh.
Does that have anything to do with this?
Big wires.
Big wires, it was connecting
Yeah.
the grids throughout the United States.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a problem. This troubles me. Does anybody know, well, what I gave was an example last night at Wichita State University at the Woolsey Center. A picture of Papua New Guinea. Actually, not Papua New Guinea, it's West Papua. Anybody know where that is? North of Australia, there's Papua New Guinea. It used to be all one thing. But now, Indonesia took it over years ago. It occupied it illegally. And it's still a place of contention. And they put in what's called the Grasberg mine. One of the deepest mines, most polluting, and one of the most egregious human rights violations, environmental destruction, and tribal displacement. There have been murders and wars to extract copper for these long wires. Why do we need to do that? Why do we need to do business with this type of tyranny and murderous extraction of that? And it goes on, there's slides of it, rivers that turn gray. These tribal people have got nowhere to go. There have been disputes, there have been shootings, and so forth. Read up on it. At the same time, with electrification comes, we have to have rare earth minerals as well. And there's where we're fighting too. Know where these minerals are coming from and how they were extracted and who's doing it. The Grasberg mine is mine's also gold and silver. There's also the seabed mining that's being proposed from the Seabed Mining Authority of Kingston, Jamaica, who makes decisions whether a company backed by some country can go in and vacuum, churn, destroy seabed areas, and making for a lot of environmental and ecological problems.
So you're saying we don't need long lines, we have micro.
We can minimize that for sure. I like to think that we can bring some good clean power across country with the windmills But the closer you are to its point of consumption, the better off you are, and you have less line loss drop. The other one was the coal plants. It's a little known fact that some of the coal plants use tar sands in their boiler feeds, not just coal, tar sands. 120 square mile moonscape in Alberta, the Athabasca tar sands. That goes through a kind of a slurry pipeline mixed with naphtha, it's dilbit, it's called. That goes through coking units in refineries. And since I used to work in a refinery, this is a pretty touchy place because you don't want to fire in a coking unit. It's hard to put out because of the heavy metals. Because of the heavy metals and the quartz and so forth, it's abrasive on pipelines. And one of the largest, and we warned people about that years ago. It was on deaf ears in the Kansas legislature. Let that pipeline come through. It broke several times in Yellowstone River. Latest one was Northeast Kansas. So that was the largest ever. It took a long time to clean up. I don't know how well it was cleaned up at all in some of the sediment areas of these creeks and waterways. And what you get off of that is petroleum coke, pet coke, that is utilized in carbon black. Ironically, it does burn a little cleaner than coal, depending on where the coal comes from. Usually Wyoming is where we get these from, in Kansas. But the life cycle, the water, and the transportation of it, that's what you see all these, many of these tank cars coming from the Bakken oil fields, heavy crude. You get that heavy stuff again, pet coke, and that's the one, the farm train that went through Lac Magnetique in just north of the state of Maine. Runaway locomotive went through the town, collided with the tracks, derailed, burned, and killed 47 people in that. Why do we do business this way? What is it all about? And as a consumer, do you really want to do business with this kind of planet-killing material? We've got maybe 40 years until a very apocalyptic. Well, I heard the fellow tested researcher said we have 6 years before we're at a tipping point because of the aerosolized material in the atmosphere. We stop burning coal right now, burning all fossil fuels right now, still have global dimming. That starts to drop out, planet gets hotter again. So
the oceans are warmer.
Yeah, the oceans are warmer. Yeah. So let's get with it. Get into the faces of these legislatures and who are the decision makers. I do not want to live like this. I do not want to invite people into a state like this to do business because it doesn't work. And people are waking up, maybe not here, but elsewhere. And there's nothing to say that I get that we can't do business directly with Walmart in deferred capacity, or directly with a Target store, or something in our community that allows it to thrive without demand charges on our bills. So with that, any more questions?
Are you with like a certain company or group, like?
I am retired associate professor of aeronautical science for the U.S. Air Force.
So are you just like promoting these or? Are you...
Well, when I was with these bases, and I was on several different bases here in the Midwest and Germany, I saw the transition. I was witness to that. And this is what inspired me to, so I wrote, presented a research paper to the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education. And that's where computational sustainability came in. This is just electricity. We have also the prairie restoration. I heard Catherine Hayhoe, she spoke at that conference in San Antonio. 3 things we need to do is restore these prairies, more efficiency, and stop using carbon. And it's pretty easy to do if you start looking at it. And there's another one, the dirty truth behind fossil fuels, with Fully Charged. It's a good little video. It shows you the cumbersome, the life cycle analysis and the water that it takes to produce fossil fuels for combustion engines versus electric vehicles. And yes, we need to mine lithium, we need to mine rare earth minerals, but they're there and we can recycle them, and the chemistries are getting friendlier and more tailored to say if we want V2G from these vehicles.
What about the microgrids that you were referring to earlier about getting those like the communities and stuff?
Right.
Where can people access that?
Department of Defense, and there's microgrid knowledge. I should give acknowledgements in these thoughts, but the microgrid knowledge is one they have conferences every year. Smart energy decisions, utility dive, and other organizations like IEEE, Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. Just about everybody's involved in the mix.
Okay.
Probably some I'm forgetting about right now.
Would you be willing to partner with local organizations as we try to set up some of these?
That's what I would do. I would go directly to the people at say Walmart. Say, well, do you have a climate action plan? Yes, we do. Well, what are we doing here locally? That's where you start the conversation.
Yeah, but I mean, like you specifically, would you be willing to partner with like organizations like us, like some of the local ones in Kansas, to help us get some of these going with your expertise and stuff?
Why not? Yeah, it's not just me. It's we have a lot of engineers, scientists, people that do this. Been at it for quite some time. Yes, yeah. Show you the hardware, show you the way to do it, software.
I would love that.
Requires.
We can make a series of videos so that we can continue that education and be able to duplicate it and share it. Because teaching a small organization, we should make videos so we can teach the world.
I'd love to do that, partner with some media folks that can promote this.
I have one at Sunflower, I'll contact them and we'll see how we can put that together.
Yeah.
May have a card. That's my question.
Well, I'm with Sierra Club as well. That's kind of my hub right there. I'm state Sierra Club as local Sierra Club. And we're quite happy to have partners.
Were you at the climate protest on Friday?
Oh, yeah.
I thought I recognized you.
Yeah, we have for some years. We're there at the roundabout at Delano.
Oh, that's wonderful to see.
Any questions for Kent online? Anyone on the Zoom want to ask anything? Okay.
Thanks,
Okay,
Laura.
well, thank you, Kent. That was great. Really appreciate your insights and your information. That was great. So the other part of the agenda tonight, we had talked about having a discussion post-election regarding the plastic bag task force and what we might want to propose to the city council. So I wanted to open that back up and hear thoughts on if we want to try to pursue something fairly quickly or what we want to do. So I'm just going to open that up.
Well, at this point, it may depend on our new council members and our new mayor. We've got a proposal pretty well put together that just needs to be approved by this board so that we can take it to them. But they're not going to make any decisions until January.
But they should still hear it. Would it hurt to hear it? To bring it up?
I mean, it was asked. I mean, that was the specific request from from Mayor Whipple, says, you know, we got to get something from the board. We've got something, let's get approval from the board, let's send it up. I mean, I don't think that there was a whole lot of likelihood that anything would have come from it under any makeup of the council. So the fact that the makeup of the council has changed, I don't think takes away from our responsibility to follow through. So I think we should follow through.
Lori,
know.
was that the request?
Lori, do you have a copy of what the exact language was?
Not in print, but I do have it. I can
Okay.
send it out so everybody can look at it. We're having a retreat next month, so can we talk about it while we're there?
Anyway,
I can send it out to
the
y'all.
plastic bag people are having a retreat, or the
No, we are.
we are?
It's called a retreat, but it's gonna be here.
It's just a
It's still
meeting.
gonna be here,
It's,
yeah.
in other words, we have a meeting in December.
But it lasts a long
Longer
time,
meeting.
We have
yeah.
a longer, more extensive meeting. We could, Lori, if you could, we could do one of two things. And it sounds like we probably need the language, but could you send that out so everyone has a chance to review it so that we could vote on it first thing, you know, start with that,
Okay,
so that we can get this in front of the city council as quickly as possible.
sure. I can do that.
Lori, was that the request of the
Okay.
day? We'll have the board send it up.
What was that, Liza?
Well, yeah, I'll say that again, 'cause
So sorry, and sorry if I'm missing something, this might have been before me, but Russell mentioned that the mayor specifically asked for the board to send this up to them. Is that correct? Is that what he specifically asked for? 'Cause
Correct.
my understanding was that he was still waiting on those questions that were asked.
the mayor asked for it to come here. I have the answers to those questions. They don't have anything to do with plastic bags. But I do have those answers. I will have to search for them and send them, but I have those answers. But the proposal for plastic bags does not include bringing plastic manufacturing to Wichita. We don't do that. We don't know how to do that. The Wichita Chamber of Commerce did that. They did that sort of research. Now I understand that it's the Kansas, what's it called? The people down there in Douglas.
The Leadership Center.
Leadership, is that what it is, Leadership Center? Yeah, they've kind of taken that kind of thing over from the Wichita Chamber, so they're the ones to ask about that. There were 4 questions and all of them were really out of our power, out of our ability to do anything about, but I have the answers on who to contact for those. So I will find that, which is in email, but it'll take me a little while to locate it, but I can send you those answers. But we also had to come up with a proposed change to the city of what we would like to see them do. And we do have that. But none of us were really able to answer those questions because it's not in our purview for that. Those were really off topic. But some people on our Waste and Recycling Committee did know some of the answers. So I've got those that I can share via email, but I can also share this PDF that we have put together too, on what we would like to ask to happen at the city.
Okay, yeah, if you want to send that to me and I'll send it out to the
Okay.
board.
That'd be great. Okay. Is there any more discussion on that for tonight? Anyone else want to say anything until the next meeting? Okay. So we will move on for the rest of the time for any public comment. I see a woman in the back. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to start off. My name's Randy Timish and I organize an environmental group called 316 United. Some of y'all know me from that. One of the things our group did was pull out this study and look it over and said, this looks like a roadmap that somebody should be using. And so it seems like a good time when you guys are going to go on a retreat to make some decisions using this particular document. And just, you know, for reference, Appendix D has the ACEE scorecard that Ken had just put up there.
Mhm.
So there is a lot of information in here that I think y'all could work harder on. I'm not telling you what to do, but I think when there's a roadmap, I think it's easier to reach out to the community to ask for their support and resources. So that's my statement on that one. And my other one is I've been trying to be more involved in listening to the district advisory boards, go to the meetings or listen online. And they have all sorts of reports from different departments and whatever. And I started thinking, why doesn't the sustainability board have a report? And I think it would be really cool if there was a report that said, hey, this month we looked at these different things within the city or whatever, and we made progress with certain things. I think one of the things I heard at one time was that the light bulbs were updated and I don't know, somewhere. And so the city was using less electricity by upgrading. I think talking to people that the city buses are being replaced with electric buses is progress. I don't know if people around town really know what progress is going for sustainability. And I think we all could work harder to pat ourselves on the back and make just let more districts know what's being done rather than you're not doing anything. So, thanks.
Thanks, Randy.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you. Jane?
Kent alluded to it. I was a couple of minutes late, so I don't know if it was covered that tomorrow at the Sedgwick County Extension Center, there's an open house to talk about electricity, solar panels, and that would be a perfect opportunity to network with other folks. Thank you.
It's
Thanks, Jane.
4:30.
4:30.
4:30 to 7:30
7:30
is fine.
Public comment is from 4:30, I think, until.
Hey, any other comments?
7:30.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. Hopedale, I live at 1856 North Litchfield, District 6, go Maggie. I wanted to let you guys know, I worked at a retail called REI. I spent 3 years with that organization. I really loved that job. They were moving towards more sustainable practices. They were throttling their energy, using main office buildings that were states away. So I know there's a lot of ways to increase efficiency, but the main thing I'd like to talk to you about is they actually switched from paper bags. They weren't using plastic bags at all. But they switched from paper bags to not even providing any bags anymore for customers. And we received very little pushback from it. Very, very little pushback from it. When we explain to our customers, hey, we're cutting down on transportation costs, we're cutting down on our use of petroleum to create this, we're cutting down on all of this stuff, people were really okay with it. So if you guys are feeling discouraged about like getting the plastic bags out of Wichita, I would encourage you to just adopt an attitude of why are we doing this already, and it's not a bad thing, it's actually helping us to save money and to save these wastes that are created by it. So go no plastic bag team, I wanna empower you. It's good work, yeah, send that report up, don't play with it. Let them know that it's very easy to achieve, it's very easy to get done, and I think it'd be a really great win for you guys.
Dylan's was the major pushback.
Oh, Kroger. Yeah, well, that's, once we get other stores, you know, we can even start with small businesses.
I'm assuming there'll be a legislative push again.
Of course there will.
And there
There'll be a
should be
legislative
some
push
action
against
in
us.
Wichita.
I mean,
To
outside of our
forestall
city,
that.
right? They're gonna
will.
legislatively try to
Yeah.
prevent us from doing that.
Just like they did
last.
last year, the year
Right.
before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll have
So
to
I
be-
do think she has a good point in that maybe one way to take this, if we can't get it done from a government standpoint, talking with more businesses about exactly what she's saying.
Making.
I think that that's true. I mean, it's often that, some people will kind of push back on it maybe, but a lot of it's just getting used to something different.
So was this the local REI that did know about? Okay, I just wanted to clarify. So,
It's local,
right.
it is here in Wichita.
so, right, so
But
even
it's
Midwest
national.
people can get behind that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it is national, so we
Yeah.
have like 200 stores plus, and we were part of the first phase that did that. Nothing, we started using cardboard boxes that were sent to us by the suppliers. Why wouldn't we use and reuse? It's just a smarter model. Like you guys already have boxes, you're getting your stuff in boxes, just give it to the customers who are the crankiest about it. It's a really easy workaround.
And putting something together like that, the benefits of, for a business to do that, and just having a flyer and whatnot, or an informational something, right, to be able to talk to more businesses about it. It's more legwork to some degree, but it's, and it might actually help at the government level too, if they're seeing more and more businesses turn away from it anyway. There may be some, or you could go at it on, we could go at it on both sides. So
Corporate.
just something to think about.
Give us 5 years, Dylan said. We just need 5 years.
They promised 2025 and I
Well,
was,
it may be that the smaller companies need to go first and then the bigger ones kind of follow, or vice versa, but I think that she's making a good point of, maybe we can inspire a trend otherwise, along with trying to get something passed at the city or state level.
That sounds good in theory.
Yes.
Education is not free. That's the problem that we
Right.
run into. That is the
Sure.
problem.
Sure. Other public comment for the evening? Okay, well, hearing none, anything else anyone wants to say this evening before we adjourn? Okay, well, I will call this meeting to a close. Thanks, everybody.
How about those
Go.
solar panels?